Hello everyone and welcome back to Disney's Black Hole of Content, where I'm Chase, this is Steven.
Hello.
And we also have Ethan.
Hello.
And we are going to be talking today about Tron and Tron Legacy. Both films, I guess, in the Tron franchise. The first one came out in, I want to say, 1983?
1982.
Let me get Wikipedia right
82. It was 1982.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was close.
Because I
And
just
then
watched it today, so, yeah.
The sequel came out in 2010.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess I should preference this a little bit.
Mhm.
So Tron the original Tron and another movie called The Black Hole were both Disney's attempts in the 80s to capitalize on the original Star Wars trilogy. I guess it's just kind of, even though Disney owns Star Wars now, it's still nice to know that they still care about these the Tron franchise. And Black Hole never really went anywhere. It's kind of a cult movie, but Tron, I always thought Tron had more things going on, so I'm glad it had a sequel. Didn't do that well, but it was still a good movie overall.
Yeah, they were planning a third sequel, but then Tomorrowland failed, so they were like, okay, I guess we'll have doing sci-fi.
Yeah, I mean, they were holding on to the idea of Tron 3 until, late last year. Or early this year, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they've been keeping that just kind of hovering in the air lately.
Yeah.
And
honestly,
but now it's gone.
Just did a Disney
now
Plus
it's
show.
gone.
You think it's officially gone by this point?
I mean, hopefully, the viewership numbers of both the movies and the series will, boost interest. In maybe like a Disney Plus series, maybe a season 2 of Uprising.
That's kind of what I'm imagining. Probably season 2 of Uprising.
Well, the thing is, I've been watching Uprising because I never watched it when it came out, so I've been watching it fresh. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, they got some really decently named actors in here.
Yeah.
Elijah Wood
and
Aaron Paul.
And we'll talk about that more on our next retrospective episode.
Yeah, this is just the two movies.
Yes.
We'll leave Uprising and everything else for another part.
Right.
And I guess since we're moving over there, what are you guys'? I guess let's start with the history of the first movie. When's the first time you saw the original Tron?
At least 10 years ago. It's been a hot minute.
I think I was 12, and it was on Netflix, and my dad brought it up. I was like, wow, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. This is a very interesting premise.
I was probably in the 5th grade, and I had a sick day. I don't remember how I came across Tron, but somehow I came across it. Yeah. It was a weird...
It might have just been a movie on TV that day.
It could have been. Who knows?
By the way, I haven't seen it since, so today was my most recent time watching it.
I've watched it a few times over the years, but it's definitely been a long while since my most recent viewing for this episode.
Yeah, for me it was also my second time watching the movie when I watched it for this episode, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more once I was older. As I'm older, this movie is a lot more going on.
Yeah.
A lot more entertaining than when I first watched it as a child.
It was probably a little bit harder for me to follow.
Definitely. Like as a kid, I could not tell the difference. I could not tell the difference between Tron and between Flynn and between that other guy. What's his name?
Oh, Ram. Mm-hmm. You realize Tron has a T on him, right?
I realized that. I'm talking about as a kid.
Yeah.
When I was in the 5th grade.
Even as a kid, I was like, he has a big T. That must be Tron.
Right. But yeah, watching it now is much, much better.
Yeah, we can more appreciate the film for, how...
I guess we can do just kind of like a basic rundown of the film.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Those who haven't watched it.
I mean, we're not going to go, too in-depth with it, but sure.
Yeah. I'm pretty much...
So
go ahead.
Basic premise is that movie stars Jeff Bridges as a game designer / arcade owner named Kevin Flynn, who... He was working on some prototype video games, and then this other guy pretty much stole it. I'm blanking on his name.
Edward Dillinger.
Human villain.
Yes.
Thank you, Edward Dillinger. Kind of stole his games, and Kevin Flynn got fired. So he's been trying to hack into the system and get the files.
Yeah, from
and so
Encom,
one night with
or Encom?
Encom.
Yeah, that's the name of the company.
It's basically Apple. It's just Apple.
Yeah.
And so one night with some of his friends, he sneaks into Encom Labs, and he accidentally gets sucked into the computer world through a prototype digitized beam.
Yeah.
And he is now stuck in this weird 80s computer where everything's all fancy, yet everything's black and white.
Referred
really
to
colorful.
as the grid.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so now he's just trying to escape. He meets his friend Alan's security program named Tron, which is the movie's namesake. And they're just trying to find the way out, and they're being hunted by the evil Master Control program and his army of red. I just call them red shirts.
Who is tied to the control program is also tied to Dillinger as well.
Yeah.
It's his personal program.
Yeah, one thing that actually, since you're talking about that's really interesting, is the guy who played Dillinger also voiced the Master Control program.
Which is also kind of ironic because all of the programs do that. I mean, Bruce Boxleiter voices his friend Alan and Tron. Clue is also played by Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, so although funnily enough, the original version of the MCP, I was just doing a little bit of research, was made by the scientist guy who was making the laser. But then was edited by Dillinger, and that's why it's now voiced by Dillinger.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
That makes sense.
There's a little bit of backstory there.
Sure.
It's cool. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's pretty much the story. General, what do you guys think of it now? I know we were all talking about how we like it a lot more now.
Well, I mean, I guess I can appreciate it more because as a kid, I didn't really get to play classic video games. I mean, the first game I ever played was Halo 1. So, I'm used to the more 3D graphics games, GameCube era, PS2 era.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now that I'm older and I've got to play some older games from the 80s and early 90s, I can kind of appreciate the more classic arcade style. Because they're not just Apple, they're also a video game publisher. They used to make video games. So when there's a scene where they, to torture programs and kind of get rid of them, they make them play video games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, apparently, the reason behind that, once more going with the backstory, is that the MCP was originally a chess-playing program.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah.
And then
just like the Whopper from oh god, I'm blanking on the name with Matthew Broderick.
The
War Games.
Yeah, that's it. That's a movie I really need to watch. I haven't seen it yet.
I saw it a couple months ago with my dad for the first time. Also really good.
Cool.
Good. In general, I do love the movie. It was well made. The design aesthetic was great. The music was great.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the design because it's a really weird idea. So the movie essentially is shot in black and white. So it's a black and white movie, but they repainted everything over.
When they're in the grid, not
studio?
In the
Yeah, in the real world, it's just standard 80s movie quality.
It's kind of
when they go in the computer world for the grid, it's black and white, and they repainted over it. But here's a really interesting tidbit.
It's kind of the opposite of the Wizard of Oz in that way.
Yeah,
yeah.
That is a funny way. It's the opposite of Wizard of Oz. But that when they were repainting the movie, apparently there were a bunch of mistakes. Just the color correction was off, or a thing was lighter. So what they would do is they would I hired a few artists in the U.S. to retrace over it, and then they just had the sound team add sound effects over it. So it's all the beeps and boops are actually just mistakes they fixed over.
Interesting. Okay,
that works.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's really interesting. If you look at pictures of this movie, it's instantly recognizable. Everything about it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
also the very early CG, which considering it's an old '80s video game, I'm willing to give a pass that everything.
Yeah, in that context, it's actually very good for its time.
Yeah,
especially the light cycles; they're very well designed for what they are. Right. For essentially playing Snake versus.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Snake.
Yeah, that's what Lightback is. It's Snake versus.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, Light Cycles is a lot of fun. I actually found a cabinet of it a couple of years ago and played around.
Did you?
I first got exposed. There was an old mobile game. I'm sure it's actually still available on the iOS App Store called Lightbike 2. That's essentially just that, but with extra stuff going on. You could jump and do power ups. Mm-hmm. But it's effectively just the Light Cycle game. So that was my first exposure to the games. Also, it's also kind of interesting is that the weapons that they use are also their health, their hearts, the discs.
The discs, yeah.
Because if your disc later in lore, it's discovered that if your disc breaks, you also die. So your brain and your heart is also a sword that you throw at people.
All right,
a disc.
I guess that makes sense.
It's a really weird. It's a weird aesthetic decision that also.
So overall, what did you guys think of the effects?
The effects were good for the time.
Yeah,
like looking at it now, like I'm just like, why isn't it a little bit brighter? Like it's very really muted,
dark,
and gray. Like I understand the black and white thing, but like I just needed more light.
I guess that's why. I mean, with the movie mainly uses the hard blacks, and then they traced over it the gray parts with coloring. So
I just feel like it.
Those lights really are overpowering.
Yeah,
it's really weird. Like it's somehow too bright and too dark at the same time. There's no middle.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Also this like as good as the CG is, like there's not a lot of textures going on.
No.
It's very basic shapes with a few symbols on it.
Yeah, it's a lot of geometry and mostly nothing else. But I mean, again, it's a movie made in '82, so.
Yeah. Also, I think I should mention that a lot of this early stuff, if I remember correctly, they later would become Pixar, like the studio who did the CG. If I remember this correctly,
I believe that.
I can believe it. Yeah.
And then here's one thing that's really quick that always bugs me when they're doing the light cycle scene.
Mm-hmm.
So all the predominantly good guy characters are dressed in blue, right?
Yeah.
And all the villains are a shade of red.
Yes.
Yet in the light cycles, the red guys are driving blue bikes.
Yeah, you're right.
And the blue guys are driving a red, orange, and yellow.
That seems like a little bit of an oversight, honestly.
I'm like, why?
Yeah, I believe it's an oversight, but it was really cool how they kind of reflected that a little bit in the remake. Not the remake, in the sequel.
Yeah, the sequel.
Yeah.
Where your color is actually determines everything you use is based on what color you wear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything? Speaking of the sequel, is there anything else you guys want to talk about the original movie, or should we move on to that?
Just by itself, not really. Maybe after we do Legacy, we can kind of go back and talk about everything as a whole.
Yeah. So as we said, Tron Legacy released in 2010 was far off sequel. Disney trying to recapitalize on what had become a cult classic by that point.
Yeah. Didn't do.
Yeah, they wanted to make it a media franchise.
Yeah.
It was another big push.
Oh yeah,
because they had a video game for this. They had an animated series.
I think they had two video games.
They had two video games,
and they did have a graphic novel as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. They had a graphic novel. They had an animated series. They had two video games. They had a hit movie, and it just didn't really.
Yeah, the movie didn't make a whole lot of money. 3 years later, they had Uprising. The Disney XD...
The TV show.
Yeah, the TV show.
Oh, it was after? I actually thought it was at the same time.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, but that was before they officially canceled Tron 3. So
yeah, they officially canceled Tron 3 within the last year and a half. Mm-hmm. So that was when they finally said that they were done. But as far as Legacy goes, I really like this movie. I like it a lot.
Yeah, this movie, the sequel is definitely a much better upgrade to the original, where it fixes a lot of problems and understands what the idea it's trying to accomplish. Because originally the first movie is like, it's a computer world, but like it's got video games, but then it's got also other programs.
This is a lot better at establishing, what the grid actually is.
Also, now it's just a bunch of people in skin tight suits with light ups, and there's a lot of.
It feels a lot more like
a Daft Punk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Daft Punk versus a very 80s synth band.
Thank you, Daft Punk.
The soundtrack for this movie is amazing. In addition to the reconfigured soundtrack that they partnered with a whole bunch of other artists to do.
Yeah, DJ and artists. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess now we can get into the summary of the plot. So, the movie starts off, I want to say a few years after Tron 1, where Kevin Flynn, again played by Jeff Bridges, is talking to his son Sam, telling him about how great the grid is, how cool he went inside the computer, and then for some reason he just disappears.
Yeah, he says that it'll show him, what he's been working on, that type of thing, and then he just never comes back.
Yeah, so his son Sam is all grown up, and now he's like a rebellious troublemaker who's like pulling pranks on Encom, even though Kevin Flynn owned the company before he disappeared.
So technically Sam is the majority stakeholder, as they are sure to point out in the middle of his heist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so he gets visited by Alan, played again by Bruce Boxleiter.
The guy who created Tron in the last movie.
Which was pretty cool that they got him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently he's in like Babylon 5 too.
Oh yeah, he was.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so okay.
Go ahead.
Again, so Alan says he got a page from his dad. So he says it probably came from Flynn's old arcade. So Sam goes to investigate, and he stumbles upon his computer, and he gets sucked into the grid as well. Except the grid looks a little different, and
a lot better.
And a lot better, yeah. Yeah, who knew a couple years in technology can transform everyone from being black and white with white palettes and a couple of colors with a lot of colors actually, to regular human colors, black suits, and a couple lines of light.
Yeah, so you mean, how do you go, I'm going from black and white humans in a colorful world to colorful humans in a black and white world.
Yeah.
More like a black and some
Neon.
other very color world.
Yeah. Mostly black and
black
white,
and
but the
neon.
colors, like the characters, have most of the yellows and the blues and the reds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which, honestly, I kind of have a thing for that style.
Oh yeah, it's still great.
Like, I was like, I was like 12 or 11 when the movie came out, and like, I just love that style so much.
Yeah, I really like the black on neon style.
Okay, back to the plot. So Sam gets captured by the evil regime led by Clue, who is a CGI lookalike of Jeff
We'll
Bridges
talk about that
when he was
later.
Actually,
yeah, but just for now, it's kind of a weird CG young.
Fun
Jeff
fact:
Bridges
Clue is
thing,
also
villain.
the AI at the very beginning of the first Tron.
Yes.
Yes. So it's a little wink and nod to that. There's actually a couple winks and nods.
There
Like,
really are. Like,
there's
I
a
didn't
scene where
appreciate
he's
that
breaking
first
into the
time.
building. He says, "That's a big door." It's the same line Jeff Bridges says when they break into Encom at the first one.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really big door. Yeah, so Sam gets captured by Clue. Then he's playing he wins the disc game, and then he gets stuck in the light bike game, and then he gets saved by Cora, played by Olivia Wilde, who is a female, not program, an ISO, which I guess is the closest to an AI, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she rescues him, takes him to his dad, and now they're on a quest to leave the grid and get back to the real world.
Okay, now this is one of the first examples of the uncanny valley in regards to de-aging people.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that it's awful. It's a valiant effort.
I mean, like, I just literally went from watching a movie to coming to record this. And I will say it is kind of awful in the climax.
Oh, in the climax? Yes,
yeah, it's a little
absolutely. But
yeah, they were running out of their budget at that point.
yeah, but it was a valiant effort. I will say that.
It's a valiant effort.
If
I remember correctly, they recorded a take with Jeff Bridges doing the vocal performance, and then they recorded another guy to be his stunt double.
Mm-hmm.
For like when he's like grabbing stuff, or like in the end, I believe he's like holding Sam by the neck. Like they had another guy do that. So it's like there's a different guy with the body of the Jeff Bridges head, and then CG on top of his face. There's a lot of things going on.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
At some points, it just looks really weird.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
I think this was how de-resing, I guess, meant to look. exploding into pixels, essentially.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, originally when someone died in the first movie, they turned into like a little beam of light and just kind of went to heaven, I guess. Whatever robot god or Jesus is.
Do robots dream electric?
RA9? Anyone ever played Detroit Become Human? They must be going to see RA9.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, well, now they turn into pixels, which I guess is more relevant to... It's like the only type of video games left.
It looks a lot better, too.
Besides the fact that it's an arcade.
The discs make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember in, like, one of the first scenes of Legacy, there was... When he was just getting captured, there was one guy who had, like, a quarter of his face just de-rezzed and gone, and it was just pixels where you didn't see brain, and that was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it's like, when you really think about it, this movie's really gory, but because everyone's made out of blocks of cheese, they can get away with whatever.
But the discs make more sense now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're also your brain. We went from them just being your heart and a sword to being your heart, your brain, and a sword.
Yeah, I mean, they're not... Although they did say in the first movie that everything you learn is also recorded on the disc.
It was definitely implied in the first movie, but they make it more...
Whereas in Legacy,
obvious.
They literally, like, read through his memory.
Yes.
Yeah,
like,
it's actually plot points in this movie, which is good.
Yeah.
Because the world building of the first movie was very confused.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's probably because they didn't have the budget or the technology to world build.
Honestly, the writing in the first movie is hit and miss, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Whereas this, they definitely got a leg up. Though I will say the writing's still kind of...
It's still in the 80s cheesiness, but I think in a good way.
Yeah. Also, a lot of vehicles from the first movie have been redesigned beautifully. Like, I can still tell what they are, but they definitely look a lot better.
Especially, like the light cycles.
Because they're not just simple geometry, that's why.
No, they're this weird bike that has the holes, but they still have the weird tire tracks things. I actually have a toy, so I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah,
and it's really weird. Also, they have like a little shield that goes up that I guess is supposed to reference the shape of the old light cycle, but they don't use it very much.
No, they don't.
They use it a lot more in Uprising.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and honestly,
and then also there's also a couple new vehicles too, like
light jets,
light plane.
I think they're called light jets. Yeah,
light jets.
And then you also had like...
Also, it's really weird seeing a world of Tron where there's guns now. But here's the thing: it's not like they're just carrying assault rifles. It's like all the vehicles have guns, yet everyone's still using the weird disc frisbee thing.
Yeah. Actually, can we talk about how much Legacy wants to be the Matrix? Because it really wants to be the Matrix.
I mean, the original movie was the Matrix. The Matrix, you're just in the computer simulator world, and that's what the grid is.
Mm-hmm. But this is trying to be the Matrix, the movie.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's definitely... Well, the other thing is that the Matrix came after...
Yeah.
It came before this one, after the first movie, so, there's a little more inspiration. Plus, we also just know more about technology than I'm guessing we did back in the 80s.
Yeah, that's true.
So things make more sense.
Right. What else? I really like that now we had a better distinction of, who everyone was, We had, like, the white, which is kind of like a neutral color. Blue and orange and red for the games. Although we didn't see much red, it was mostly orange.
Yeah, the reason it was mostly orange, I think, was because Clue is the big bad evil guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, because, small thing from Tron Evolution, the tie-in game, is the viruses in the game have yellow. So, I guess to more distinguish the color, they decided to go with predominantly orange.
Yeah, that was kind of Clue's color scheme in the first movie as well.
And a lot of... Oh, okay. So another thing, at the very beginning, I brought up about the black hole. In the very beginning of Legacy, in Sam's bedroom, he has not only a poster of the black hole, he has a little toy thing of Vincent, the little AI robot thing from the black hole.
I'm sure that makes you very happy.
Essentially just a better R2-D2.
I'm sure that makes you very happy.
Yeah, it's in the very beginning scene. It's on his shelf.
Yeah. I still need to watch that movie, but anyway.
Speaking of toys in his room, There's the one guy, like the first guy that he did the disc fighting against. He said he's got a toy of that guy in his room. Who was that guy?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm assuming afterwards Clint made more video games about Tron. Because the thing is, there's the Tron arcade cabinet in Flynn's arcade, which is an actual thing.
Right.
They actually.
That was the Light Cycles game.
No, actually, there's more. It's not just Light Cycles. In the movie, it is, but in the game itself, there's actually multiple mini games. I think they re-released it on Xbox Arcade a couple years ago, but that's one of the mini games.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just merchandise. I mean, hey, even back in the day, I'm sure Mario had merchandise when Donkey Kong came out. So it's not plausible.
Doesn't list anybody else he was fighting against other than Rinsler.
Yeah, I only remember Rinsler.
Should we talk about Rinsler because of the mild spoiler thing?
I think that it's worth mentioning because it's still a pretty cool reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool reveal.
Even it's very obvious.
Yeah.
For the entirety of Legacy...
I did bring up that a certain character wears a little T. And,
so for the entirety of Legacy, Clue has pretty much his two henchmen. He's got the one guy, Jarvis, who's just... Yeah. He's just a shit.
Yeah.
And then there's the silent assassin, Rinsler.
Yeah.
Who is also a master of playing the games and has a lot of history. And it turns out...
He's basically just Darth Maul.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Pretty much.
Except this is... honestly, he's more Darth Vader story-wise, though. Because
but character design twist. And physically wise is Darth Maul, but very much a Darth Vader role.
Yeah.
Is Rinsler.
Mm-hmm.
I just said, are we going to talk about spoilers?
Oh. I mean, I thought...
Dang it, cut it out.
I thought when you said that, you meant that, okay, let's just talk about it. I thought that's what you meant.
I mean, you can edit that out if you want.
Yeah, I can edit that out. I'll probably also edit out... Actually, I won't edit out this conversation.
Don't even edit it out. Just put a weird Yoshi sound and bleep it out.
just edit it out. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll just take one of the bleeps from the first movie.
Yeah, that... No, get the little big guy that says...
Anyway,
I'm sure that sound effect's on YouTube.
I guess the only other thing about the movie that we haven't talked about semi at length is the soundtrack.
Well, I'm a big Daft Punk fan, so I was really
a
big fan of this.
And they don't do all that many projects, so...
No, they're very low-key. They do a lot of concerts, that's why. They're very active on concerts in Europe.
Yeah, they just don't make any...
record much. Mm-hmm. Well, I first found out about them because early days of YouTube, their Discovery album has an anime, and the video and the clips of the anime music videos were released online. So I first found out about them through Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, this weird anime music video of these blue people turning into real people.
Yeah. That is true. I remember that video.
And then I actually did watch the anime entirely.
Oh yeah, SSSS.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a really good silent movie that's just music.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And honestly, if you looking at the story of the making and everything that led to that, that's pretty awesome too. Because the guys were pretty much working with their childhood hero to make it happen. But I really do like the...
Yeah, and then they got to work with Disney.
Yeah.
By the way, Daft Punk's total weebs. For anyone who wasn't sure.
I mean, have you seen their helmets? There's some anime shit going on.
They're also French.
Especially their the upgraded versions they do for some of their music videos, where one has a rainbow color palette coming off, and the other one the little eye visor has text going off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the OST for this is very good. I think it's actually one of their better projects as a whole.
Yeah, overall, it's one of their better soundtracks. D-Res, the main fight sequence in the club, that soundtrack is I'm gonna care. That's the theme song of Tron Legacy. I know there's an actual theme that's also really good, though it's not there's no homage to the original Tron 1 theme. It just has its own little note riff that they play throughout the movie, but that fight sequence music is the theme of the movie.
Yeah, you had D-Res and then End of Line, which is also a reference to the first
the
movie.
club. Also
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, the club sequence is actually like pretty cool too.
Yeah, and I guess Michael Sheen was there, and he was
that's
having
so
much fun.
Yeah,
it was Michael Sheen.
Yeah,
okay.
he was a very eccentric character.
I mean, he usually is. And
yeah, I mean, he is.
That reminds me
to watch a lot of who was the guy Jeff Goldblum played in Thor Ragnarok?
The Grandmaster.
Yeah, that's it.
The Grandmaster. Yeah, a lot of that vibes going on.
Yeah, he was just.
Which, by the way, Jeff Goldblum has a show on Disney Plus. Go check it out.
We need to do a video on that.
Oh yeah, we'll probably talk about that at some point on this show. But what else is there to talk about?
I guess now we can talk about both movies
as a whole
in general.
Let's talk about. I kind of want to talk about the character of Flynn a little bit because he was an unlikable piece of shit in that first movie.
Yeah,
he was kind of
absolutely.
I didn't like him that much.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe one of the characters, I'm forgetting her name.
Yeah.
But she basically called him, no wonder why he hangs out with a bunch of 8-year-olds. I'm like, yes, that's exactly it. He's like an 8-year-old in a man's body.
Yeah. But then, at the end of the movie, her, he pretty much seduces her program.
Right, yeah.
He did have a thing with Tron, but he still seduced her.
Well, but I think in the real world,
she was dating
his ex-girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. And then she was also dating Alan, yeah.
Yeah.
But, still.
Oh, Yori. Okay, that is the name of the female program. Yeah.
But I kind of like how they played around with that, with that knowledge that, he was pretty much a piece of shit in that first movie in Legacy.
Yeah.
You saw some actual character arc from Flynn in that movie.
Yeah, he grew up because he got stuck in a house for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then he tried to save a dying race of AI, but the programs murdered all of them except one, Cora.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Cora's the only ISO.
I guess we could talk about her. She was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that character.
Yeah,
she's got some stuff going on.
It was kind of weird how they described what ISOs were, but...
I mean, yeah, well, I mean, when you're really... my dad's a big tech guy, so, when you really think about it, she's just essentially an AI. That's all she is, a self-learning program that can adapt and change. I mean, then again, we're dealing with a guy who's been stuck in a computer since the 80s, so technology isn't that well known. So, we're not as used to it now where we have, everyone has Siri or Alexa or Google right in their hands.
Right, yeah. But I do think that even though the writing in Legacy is still in the 80s, I think that the pacing was better in Legacy. Because for sure.
Tron, it's not
first
the
Tron movie kind of dragged on.
Oh, right? same with the Black Hole too. I also just watched that.
I think that was just kind of generally a problem with the 80s and how movies were back then compared to how they are now.
Oh, I wouldn't say that entirely, but definitely this trio of movies, Tron Legacy, to a certain extent, and the Black Hole all have a pacing.
Yeah.
I mean, I would want to mention the video game, but there's not a whole lot going on there lore-wise. It just kind of...
Evolution?
Explains a little bit of backstory for a certain flashback in Legacy.
Yeah, I think we should probably save that for if we do we can do all of the ancillary materials, the graphic novel, the show, the video games. We can do a separate episode on that, I think.
Yeah, we'll probably try to fit that into our TV, or the TV show episode. Just talk about the game for a little bit.
Yeah, just take a couple minutes.
There's actually, there's not just a Wii game, there's actually a game that's essentially Legacy before Legacy in Tron 2.0.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I need to play that at some point.
there's, I think it's on...
I think you told me.
Is it on Steam? Give me a second.
Yeah, look it up.
See if it's
on it's on Steam. It's $10.
What's it called?
Wait, is it
Tron 2.0?
Just 2.0?
Yeah.
Is there the killer app? Because that's the Xbox version that has all the updates and stuff.
No, I might have to get
just a better version
Xbox version then.
No,
we'll see
you
if
don't
they've
have
got...
to. I'm sure there's a modern. There's other means on the internet to get it for the PC version.
But yeah, I mean, we'll talk about all those in a second installment of this particular retrospective.
Wait, what was the name of the company in Tron again?
Encom.
All right. Well, apparently, in Tron 2.0, the enemy company is called FCON.
Okay.
Yeah, very nice. So this game was what,
That's
2000? Awesome. Is that a Triforce on the disc?
Yeah, probably.
Yes, that is what it looks like.
I'll send you guys a picture of this, and I guess I'll post it in the video too.
I saw a little bit of a Let's Play of it. It looks interesting.
Does it?
It's very it feels a lot like Halo, because that was the popular shooter at the time.
Of course, I think it was 2003 it came out.
Yeah, so Halo 1 had been out for a few years. Halo 2 was on the horizon, and it was just kind of weird because it's effectively legacy before legacy. So, but I guess we can keep that all to the next episode.
So is there anything to wrap up about the movies in particular?
Go watch them so we can get more Tron.
Can we please get a Disney Plus show that's just the third?
Yeah, or maybe a Disney Plus original movie. I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd like to see is if they do that. I would love to, because the other thing is they've always been in computers in the 80s. I would love to see them try and explore the web now with social media and stuff.
No.
Why not? I think you could do a lot with that.
Maybe.
I mean, Disney.
I think that'd be way
so,
too meta.
I think we can get away with a PG internet or PG-13 internet.
I mean, I guess Tron would have a better atmosphere for it than Ralph Breaks the Internet did.
Yeah, I was gonna say they've already done something like that in Ralph.
Speaking of which, they actually go play Tron in Ralph.
Do they really? Oh man,
yes, they do. They go play the light bike movie.
I need to watch that movie. Anyway, that's getting.
It's so good. It's on Disney.
It's actually
a really good movie. It's a lot of fun. It's in the very beginning, so if you just want that scene alone, you don't have to watch too far.
Well, in any case, I think that was all we had to say about the Tron movies.
I think so. Mm-hmm. So thank you guys for watching. Tell us what else you want, what other series or movies or stuff you want us to watch. Go watch the rest of the series, and go watch Tron. Go watch all of it. Anything you guys would like to advertise, I guess, before we head out?
I guess I'm just gonna make this a thing. Every time I'm in a video, I always want to ask a wacky question.
Okay.
What would your program name be? Or if you made a program, what would their name be? We don't have to answer.
I have no idea personally.
Nort.
Well, because they're very simple. It's like Ram, Skark, Clue, Tron.
I mean, I guess
Yori.
all of them are they're acronyms, aren't they? So what would your program acronyms be?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That would take some thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the longest it should be is 4 letters. So if you have to make a username with 4 letters,
how about this?
Throw a number in there.
I will put a pinned comment down in the comment section of our answers once we come up with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there you go. And that's it for now. I have my
answer. What about you?
You do? What's your answer?
Yeah, it's Faiz. F-A-I-Z.
Okay.
It's a reference to my favorite tokusatsu Kamen Rider Faiz.
Cool.
Japanese Power Rangers. Throw a picture on the screen. It's my thing anyway.
Okay.
So just throw a picture on the screen.
Okay.
Picture there. Alright, well, thank you guys for watching, and have fun falling to the black hole of content. See you next time.
Yeah.